Yes, now we are in this stage in Indian cricket where there will be changes, there will be radical proposals, and on top of that, what will be the future for the Indian T20I setup in the aftermath of the T20 World Cup debacle?
We're getting to hear at long last now, and as expected, normally speaking, when India gets knocked out from a major tournament, there's always an analysis, a post-mortem of sorts that's done. And now it seems that we may, and bear in mind, I have to keep repeating this, that none of this is official as of yet, but we are getting to hear from sources within the BCCI, that there could very well be a few radical changes that could be coming to the team. There's a lot of things being considered, and that is why we guys are here to discuss all that will be happening.
Before we get into that, we have to understand that this has been a 2-year experiment. Right from the 2021 T20 World Cup until the end of the 2022 T20 World Cup in Australia, you had a core of players right from 2021. Injury, rotation, workload management, rest, all that has been tried and tested. You ended up with nothing. The trophy cabinet has not had an expansion, and after the thrashing that they had against England, there are some very bizarre, if you may say, some practical but some bizarre propositions that we are getting to hear. And the first one among this is, will Rohit Sharma lose the T20I captaincy?
That's one of the things that is being, I wouldn't say it's being, it's not a set in stone, but it does seem like Rohit's future as T20I captain is a little bit shaky. Why? Because apparently there is now going to be a bit of a focus to ensure that the senior players, the players who are stalwarts of the team, will now mostly be focused on the ODI format, which brings us to the second point, is that you'd see a lot of these players currently mostly be playing the ODI format because their style of batting suits that format better. It hasn't really been doing much for them in the T20Is though.
And basically from November 10th, after the Adelaide loss, T20Is are irrelevant heading into 2023.
Because you're going to be preparing for the ODI World Cup. Correct.
Same period, October, November in 2023. At the same time, we will be discussing the World Cup ODI, which will be held in India. So, whether senior players will play in only ODIs, we kind of got a hint when the team squads were announced for New Zealand and Bangladesh.
Correct.
New Zealand, there is an entire fresh team heading there for the T20Is as well as the ODIs.
Correct.
There is no Virat Kohli, there is no Rohit Sharma, there is no Rahul Dravid, the head coach will not be there, and VVS Lakshman will head the team in New Zealand.
Correct.
But when they come back from the series in New Zealand, they will play tests and ODIs against Bangladesh.
Correct.
That is where the core is back. And the interesting development that we are seeing here is that a new cricket advisory committee will be set up.
I mean, to be fair, that was also expected, considering you've had a new regime in place. The new CSE would eventually come in.
2 members, their tenures have
ending also, exactly.
And more importantly, West Zone.
This has not had
it's been vacant for the last couple of years.
Correct.
So the CSE is all set to undergo a massive revamp. That is one of the things which we may come to know, because the BCCI, we heard reports that they will have consultations with Rahul Dravid, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, because they form the core, the senior core of the leadership group in the Indian cricket team.
Correct.
Only after meeting that, they will chart the roadmap ahead, which is for the 2024 T20 World Cup in the West Indies.
But we are talking about charting roadmaps, and that's where it comes to one of the more radical ideas that has been
absolutely radical. I may term it borderline bizarre.
And that is that
players aged 30 or more to not be considered in the T20I format.
Which is a bit weird, because you remember that on one hand, India had one of the oldest average ages in terms of like the squad makeup for this particular World Cup.
Right?
30.6 years of age is one of the older squads. But if you want proof that age doesn't matter, England's is around the same age.
30.8.
Exactly. And England are World Cup finalists. But there's clearly a thinking or a thought process that you need to be trying out young blood. And there is, a need to actually freshen up the team a little bit.
Because see, we may be tending to go overboard with that young blood situation. Because look, in the 2007 T20 World Cup, did we have an entire bunch of youngsters? No.
I mean, the likes of Gambhir, Sehwag, Yuvraj, Dhoni were experienced internationals by that point. You had Irfan Pathan, Sreesanth. So many players who...
At least for a minimum of 4 to 5 years of experience, players were playing in the 2007 T20 World Cup. Surya, remember, we are praising Surya as the next big thing.
But he's 32 years old.
And he's only played international cricket for the past 1 year.
Exactly.
You can argue for the fact that, okay, we need young blood, but then that young blood is still raw. And it will need plenty of time for them to get honed in.
You need fresh blood rather than young blood. Someone like Surya is not young in the traditional sense because he's past 30. That's when he made his debut. But he's a breath of fresh air to the batting team. So.
Absolutely. And look, if this is considered, which is very, very speculative according to
because again, it's just one of the ideas that's been mooted. There's nothing set in stone here. But if that happens, then that means
75% of the team is going to be impacted because who are the players in the current squad who are over 30 plus? Ravichandran Ashwin, Dinesh Karthik, Virat Kohli,
Rohit Sharma, your captain,
Surya Kumar,
KL, your vice captain,
UZ, Yajvendra Chahal, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Mohammad Shami, and even Harshal Patel.
Yeah, because again, Harshal is someone who's seen in certain circles as a young talent, but he's not. He's been around for a while. He was a late bloomer. And that's why I say age really shouldn't be that much of a factor.
We are all talking about UZ Chahal not playing. Imagine Harshal Patel's flight. He was the leading wicket taker in IPL 2021 in the same conditions in the UAE. Did he play a game?
Excellent.
He did. 2022 on the bench, didn't play a game. He and Yajvendra Chahal, both with Haryana connections, if I may say, because Harshal plays for Haryana. And UZ started his career in Haryana but then moved later on. Both of these guys, without having played a single T20 World Cup match, might not be considered. Mohammad Shami is the classic World Cup to World Cup paratrooper.
Him and Ashwin, who again, I think with Ashwin too, I think there doesn't seem to be any indication of keeping him in white ball teams because again, if you look at the two squads that we've had, he's not in the T20I squad nor the ODI squad. The only squad he finds a place, the Test squad for Bangladesh. Yes. Even there, he might play because again, you're going to be playing it in subcontinent conditions. Will he be your first choice going forward in Sena countries? Maybe not. They might consider Jadeja for the extra batting factor.
Yep. And even look, Jadeja is also 30 plus. If
he's exactly. That's another thing.
So Ravindra Jadeja. So if this proposal comes up, supposing players aged 30 or more to not be considered, could actually be like shooting yourself in the foot.
I mean, again, if you look at certain teams, a lot of their players are 30 or above, especially the top players. Even
Australia, David Warner,
England.
I mean, David Warner, Aaron Finch, Glenn Maxwell. They're all 30 plus.
If you look at the finalists, Rizwan is 30. Babar is touching 30. Then someone like Shan Masood is 33, 34 and he's made his debut now.
Iftikhar.
Exactly. So age shouldn't be that much of a factor. Performance should. I mean, if you look at England, Moeen is above the 30-year mark. Adil Rashid is that much. Josh Butler is 32.
Yes.
People look at Butler and say young captain, but he's got captaincy, later on because of course Morgan went.
I think even Ben Stokes is 30 plus.
Ben Stokes is 31, 32. So is Alex Hales. So half of that team really comes. Mark Wood is, I think, would be 30.
Yeah, Mark Wood is 30 plus.
He's been around for a long time.
Same with, I think, Chris Jordan.
Jordan is experienced, yes. Yeah. So he would be 33, 34. And he's considered one of their best options coming off the bench.
So imagine if this proposal were to be considered. Because sometimes you may tend to go to the other extreme.
Which is what seems to be happening now. You backed your core for so long saying, no, these are our best players, these are our best players. And to be fair, yes, there were issues with the way they performed, but I don't think discarding them all en masse is going to be a solution either.
It is not going to happen because look, practically if you have to look at it, you will need senior players in the team so that the transition can be smooth.
Correct.
Why did Australia suffer after 2006? Because the likes of Justin Langer, Adam Gilchrist, Glenn McGrath,
they all pretty much retired at the same time.
Mass.
Exactly.
And it took them years to recover.
You could argue they still haven't really recovered.
They had Matthew Hayden, they had Ricky Ponting, and you forgot one more, even Damien Martin retired.
Yes.
So two veterans were there until 2012. You had the likes of Clark, you had the likes of Lee handling that period. But then after that, Now Australia might undergo yet another
Yeah,
transition.
because they too have a few players who are on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think you're chucking them out just because. I mean, Warner 1 year ago was your World Cup winner. One of the key reasons you won the World Cup. Mitch Marsh is also above 30, if I'm
Yes,
not wrong. Huh?
and you may have David Warner as one of your key leadership players. In
Yeah,
the 2023.
assuming they overturn that captaincy ban. Yes.
Well, apparently they haven't. So
No, they haven't yet, but it hasn't come up for discussion.
it hasn't come up yet.
Yeah.
So remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of the 15 who went to Australia.
That's 66% of your players.
Yeah, that's the problem. So maybe the BCCI was not going to go over.
Maybe this is just spitballing on their part that we are also getting to hear about.
We are
But
getting to hear, but
one thing is for certain, it does look like big changes are afoot.
big changes are upon, because look, now you have 2 years to focus.
For the T20s, because now your main focus is the ODIs, and to be fair, we do have a decent enough ODI core.
Yes, but again, this is a catch-22 situation for the BCCI and for the players.
Correct.
Look, you've got a World Cup and an ICC event lined up every year.
Now, yes.
If you make changes, then to recover and to establish and build that
Even
core
that
could
takes
take
some time, exactly.
Now, but if you stick with it, then you are probably stagnating.
Correct.
So it's a very catch-22 situation for the BCCI and the players. What will happen after Monday? What are the changes proposed? Whether there will be any changes, it remains to be seen.
But as of now, this is what we're getting to hear, is that one way or another, look, I don't think all of these changes will be proposed and pushed through. But it does appear that there is an appetite for a bit of change, and that's something I think a lot of people, us included, have been saying that we need a little bit of.
Perhaps if I wanted to look at it from an Indian fan perspective, and that too rationally, let us ensure from 2023 onwards for the 2024 World T20, not for the ODI World Cup.
For the World T20. Yeah.
2024 World T20. Look at your performers in the IPL. Okay? Pick them in the Indian team.
Give them chances in
Give them
bilaterals.
a long rope. Say, for example, a defined period of 4 months.
And also in specific roles best suited to them.
Yes. Pick them for 4 to 5 months. Consistently play them in T20I bilaterals. That's the key point.
That's the key.
Consistently play them. Get players, divide them into plan A, plan B, plan C. Plan A doesn't work for 4-5 months, get plan B. But transition them out smoothly. That is what we have to establish. Suddenly out of IPL, you cannot be playing the T20 World Cup. I'm sorry. You are hurting the players' confidence big time.
Yeah.
So for 2023, the only suggestion that I would give as an Indian cricket fan is play the IPL, no problem, look at your fitness and everything, but have that same mindset. Pick the team for 4-5 months from IPL performances, give them a long rope in international cricket, see how they perform, and then build your core for 2024. Because unlike the 2022 World Cup, which was in October, this tournament could be held around July, August
in the
of
summer.
2024
Correct.
in the West Indies. And
So
remember,
that's-
2010, you didn't do well in the West Indies either. Got knocked out in the Super 6.
So that's obviously what we have to say, and obviously, as we said, one way or another, whatever's happening, big changes afoot that's happening. What do you guys think should be the changes? Well, you can let us know in the comments below, and of course, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe, tap the bell, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. Thank you all for joining us.
We'll be back
Hopefully,
soon.
we will be back with you, and you're also going to be back with us through the day. For now, goodbye and
Goodbye, vanakkam.